I wanted to be able to do music and do writing, be heard, and celebrate myself. I think I drove on a pretty bumpy road. I think it was just like, it was definitely not the straight and narrow, smooth road. And I think that's how most people's lives are. There is a systemic disease of fearing being free.
Yes. Oof.
We put there is an
So
endemic
dark.
disease. We fear liberation because we're constantly told that you shouldn't be liberated.
Sabrosura pa' ti que qué.
Hola, hola. Welcome back to Café con Pam, the bilingual podcast that celebrates the power of stories, the medicine in our voices, and the magic of reclaiming who we are. This week, I'm sitting down with someone who is redefining what it means to celebrate disability. As a powerful cultural identity worth brazenly claiming, meet Lachi. Lachi is a world-touring recording artist, award-winning music executive, disability inclusion advocate, host of PBS series Renegades, Recording Academy National Trustee, and producer of a Grammy-nominated album. Born legally blind, Lachi created the UN-recognized organization RAMPed, which stands for Recording Artists and Music Professionals with Disabilities, a consultancy group collaborating on disability-inclusive solutions with the likes of Netflix, Live Nation, and more, while bringing opportunities to its growing global network of professionals with disabilities. Named a USA Today Woman of the Year, an Ad Color Innovator, and included on both the Billboard Pride and Forbes Accessibility 100 lists, Lachi's cultural activism has landed her spots on national ads and TEDx stages, discussions with the White House, NPR, and the BBC, and features in People, Time Magazine, Good Morning America, and the New York Times. And in just a few weeks, on January 27th, her book, I Identify as Blind, a brazen celebration of disability culture, identity, and power, drops through Penguin Random House. But here's what makes Lachi's story so powerful. She didn't start out celebrating her blindness. She hid it. She masked it. She tried to pass. Until one morning in 2016, when she woke up and everything had changed. That day, navigating the subway with strangers' help, her kombucha exploding, buying the first t-shirt she could reach that happened to say, even on my worst day, I'm still killing it. That was the beginning of her transformation from hiding to high fashion, from silence to sovereignty. In este episodio, you're going to learn why disability is a cultural identity that everyone has a relationship to, whether you claim it or not. We're also going to explore how masking and hiding the parts of ourselves society tells us are too much, quote, too much, keeps us from our power. And we'll dive into why representation in leadership, not just visibility, is what actually changes systems. So, if you've ever hidden parts of yourself to fit in, if you've ever felt like you had to prove your worth to performance or wondered what it would feel like to stop apologizing for existing in your fullness, este episodio is for you. Sin más, aquí está mi conversación with the one and only disability culture icon, Lachi. Lachi, welcome to Café con Pam.
Hi.
A pleasure to have you.
I'm so glad to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. So the first question we always ask is, what is your heritage?
Well, my parents are Nigerian. And they came to America because they were like, "Ooh, capitalism looks fun." So, so
Yes.
I am the sixth of seven kids, and yeah, we are from Nigeria. My parents are Igbo,
Okay.
so we're the smart Nigerians. Just kidding. If any other Nigerian hears that, that was a joke. Um, and the other thing I also like to point out is I am blind and neurodivergent. And I also recognize that folks who were advocates for disability before me as my disability ancestors as well.
Thank you for that. I love that. So I have a Nigerian friend, and this is going to be only from my very limited experience of knowing someone Nigerian, and you will tell me if this is true or not.
Yes.
The expectations of Nigerian parents.
Mhm.
So how
Girl,
was it for you to be the youngest of
like, so
7?
first of all, it's I think it's immigrants in general, like, especially when you move to like a Western country, but
Yes.
there's some about I told my parents, I was like, when I grow up, I want to be a musician or a
Mm.
comedian. And they were like, that's not how you spell doctor. So get
Right,
that
right.
rearranged. Um, so yeah, the expectations are high. And it's also so like expected, like for you to just be success. Hello, you're Nigerian. Why aren't you a big success? And it's like, well, I'm only 3, mom. Well, hurry up and be successful.
Yes.
And like for me, I'm a singer, I'm a musician. I got my master's in music at NYU, or else you won't be able to like eat at the adults table. So I had to make
Mm.
sure I had a master's from a top school at whatever I did so that I get to have dessert.
Yes, I feel it. You always loved music and being creative.
Yes.
How was it for because you have siblings that are doctors, right?
Yes, yeah. I have siblings that are doctor. I have an optometrist sibling. I'm like, "Hello, you're Nigerian and an eye doctor. Why am I still blind?" But, so yeah, I was definitely the black sheep of my family in the sense of I was always artsy. My other sisters, they were into music and dance as well, but I was blind. So my mom was like, "I guess you're gonna be Stevie Wonder. So let's get you music and let's get you CDs." And I always pursued it like, as I was studying for other things, I always did music on the side. I always knew music was going to be in my life in some way. Little did I know it was going to be in my life in this big of a way. But I'll say this right now. I was looking through some really old things that I wrote down when I was like 7 and 8, just like old scraps of paper, and journals and diaries, and I had said when I was 8 that I wanted to be a big time musician with a studio in Manhattan
Wow.
and a big time author with a big time publisher. I said that at 8 years old.
Look at those declarations.
Exactly, girl, okay? Wish it, want it, think it.
Wow. I love that though, because so many times we as children, and I do a lot of inner child work, we kinda like tend to forget what we wanted to be when we were little.
Yes.
And I love that you found those notes of you being 8 years old and being like, "This is what I'm gonna do, and this is who I'm going to be, and I'm gonna get a book," and that's super awesome. How did you
Yeah.
know that you could be a writer, that you could get a book? Was it from, like, having a family that was into academics?
Yeah, well, that's part of it. My mom heavily encouraged all of my sort of artsy fartsy stuff. So being a blind kid growing up, I didn't have a lot of friends, right? So I would take to the piano, I would take to writing poetry and all of that kind of stuff. And then my dad was a huge academic. He'd make us read like Shakespeare or he'd make us read grammar books.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like
Just
that. You know what
because.
I mean? Um, and so I was always into reading and always into music. But, of course, again, life lifed.
Mm,
And I started doing all of the other things, having immigrant parents, they were like, and I can't blame them, they have a young,
yeah.
black blind girl, right? And it's like, we want to make sure that you're good and you're fine. So I went to college, got a job, etc. And then it was after I like quit my job, I got signed, by the way, to a
Yay.
major label while I was like working my day job. And I couldn't live that double life. So I ended up quitting my day job.
What was your day job?
So, uh, one of my first jobs out of going to school was working at the US Army Corps of Engineers in New York City, which
Okay.
was like,
Okay.
like
Not
I was
music.
civ I was civilian. Yeah, no music whatsoever, but I will say that it was a very different life by day than me going and playing at clubs, by night.
Yeah.
And so I went out, I left my job, I started touring, doing all the things. Actually, that label that had signed me was signing me as like the blind singer, which I didn't like at the time because there was no power and pride in that. They were just kind of being it
Like,
felt very
oh,
charity pity, right? So I ended up
yes.
leaving that label also. So now I have no job, no label,
Whoa.
and I'm paying Manhattan rent, right? So I jump out of like, I really have to jump out of my own mindset of these like internalized isms of like what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to look like, how I'm supposed to navigate.
Mhm.
And there was a lot of like ego dissolution that brought me to like saying, I actually want to do the stuff that I wanted to do when I was younger. Like, I want to do what I want to do. I want to like I built up so many things to protect my inner child, to protect my inner isms. And eventually I was like, okay, I want to jump forward and just say the things I want to say. Growing up, I was very much, you need to be seen and not heard. And don't celebrate yourself, no pride,
Oof.
right? I wanted to be able to do music and do writing, be heard, and celebrate myself. And that all was like a big revelation I had really during COVID.
What caused the revelation during COVID?
Um, honestly, a few things. So, I ended up getting signed again around like 2017 to be a songwriter in the background, which I loved actually. I really loved songwriting and not having so much pressure on me in the front. And I was getting into bigger and better rooms, bigger studios, working with like household name artists. And I started getting my confidence boosted of getting phone calls, like, as
Nice.
I cut my teeth on knowing how to record, knowing how to songwrite, knowing how to do backing vocals. But the problem is I was getting into these better studios. I was not being accommodated, right? I'm losing my vision's getting worse and worse. And it wasn't even like, "You need to accommodate me because ADA, da da." It was more along the lines of, in order for me to do my best,
Yeah,
I need to have these accommodations, right? And I don't wanna, like, get, asked by Sony Music to come to their studio, and I can't do my best, and I got this amazing opportunity.
totally.
So I started asking for accommodations and then doing even better work and then having more confidence and then asking for more accommodations, being invited to these dark, parties where I would miss a handshake because it's too dark. So I started using my cane. And then as I'm getting more confident and I'm using my cane, I'm like, well, look, girl, I'm wearing these dope ass dresses. My cane needs to match. So I start blinging out my
Yes.
cane. You know what I mean? So I'm having this, there wasn't really a moment. It was more like this growth of like recognizing my own confidence and my own power. And
Mm,
that power be like my disabilities being a part of that power, my know-how and my savvy from, being raised in a Nigerian household being a part of that power.
mhm.
So when COVID hit, my manager who was, getting me all of my gigs and, getting me all of the things, he actually ended up passing away early to COVID, right? And
Oh,
so here I am, my career is about to take off. My manager just passed away, and I'm coming into my own being as a human.
yeah.
So I decide to start stepping into my artist side again, like being in front of the camera and on the microphone instead of just writing in the background. And because of that, I start, advocating for disability inclusion in front of the mic as well. And that's how Ramped gets formed, which is my organization, which then we start working with the Recording Academy. I mean, everything really kind of blows up. And I think it is because I found that liberation,
Mm,
right, that came from the combination of accepting my disability identity, and and really recognizing what gives me my confidence, which is music. So continuing to pay that homage to music and no longer dying that down.
I love that. You went too fast, so we're gonna break things down, um, because it's a really powerful story, and what I really appreciate, I think it's that it's not the typical, like, "I was 8 years old and I wrote this declaration and now I'm it," you know?
Yeah,
Like, there are
right.
twists and turns and challenges and bumps in the road and so many things that I think are so important to tell when you tell your story, and that also gives listeners, people hearing it, the possibility to be like, "Oh, I'm in my own bump in the road, and I can overcome it,"
Right.
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Because many times we see successful people and we're like, "Oh, well, they're over there. That's just gonna take so long." So,
Mhm.
I really enjoy breaking down the story to be like, "Well, like, tell me about that little bump that happened,"
Yes. Yeah.
you know? Because it's important.
There was a lot of bumps. I mean, at the end of the day, I think I drove on a pretty bumpy road. I think it was just like it was definitely not the straight and narrow smooth road, and I think that's how most people's lives are. And honestly,
Agreed.
unless you were born with a silver spoon, that's even how most celebrity or celebrated folks, public figures, we just don't often get the opportunity to break it down until they write a
Yeah.
memoir on their deathbed. But, I I feel that that's how many lives are, and that's why I'm so excited to kind of share mine of like, hey, yes, I know that right now I'm on TV, I'm on the radio, I'm at the Grammys, but that wasn't just like an overnight roll out of bed, here we are. By no means.
Yeah. So, one of the things that you've talked about before is that you used to hide your disability
Yes.
because it wasn't some like circumstances, systems,
Mhm.
life, you know?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And so for me, I have ADHD, and when I started talking about ADHD like 10 years ago, the response that I would get would be like, "Aw, I'm so sorry." And I'm like,
Right.
"You
Right.
don't have to be sorry for me." Like,
Exactly. Mhm.
I still have a brain that thinks. And
Mhm.
so when I've heard you and I hear your music and I see all of the things that you do, you're very vocal about it now, but back then you weren't. So how did you reconcile that part of you that hid it for a minute and then was like,
Mm.
"You know what? Let's not."
Well, I think, this idea of masking, of camouflaging, of passing, frankly, is endemic to our society. I believe we're all in some sort of closet, right? And we're all constantly
Yes.
trying to like unravel so that we can eventually find like what liberation really is. Um,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of it is, like you mentioned, there is a systemic disease of fearing being free.
Yes. Oof.
We put there is an
So
endemic
dark.
disease. We fear liberation because we're constantly told that you shouldn't be liberated. And so being able to accept the deepest part of yourself that society says is flawed or society says you should hide is probably one of the most difficult things for a person to do. But it's not just about disability, right? It's about maybe your sexual preference, maybe even your race that
Yeah.
your appearance that you see. You will do everything you can to downplay it in order to make other people accept you, in order to be as close to the quote reference man as possible.
Mm.
And that's what I was doing. I was trying my best to, I was cited passing, what we call it. I too also have ADHD, diagnosed OCD, diagnosed general anxiety, undiagnosed PTSD. I have a fun one called MD, which we'll get into. Um, and and I have so many different neurodivergences, and they inform my disability, and my disability informs my neurodivergence and informs everything that's part of just who I am and, what I am. And I've come to realize that the reason so many people mask and hide is because we don't know how to talk about it. That's all.
Yes.
It's so taboo. You ever have like a lot of folks with physical disabilities, they'll be walking down or rolling down the street, and then a kid will go, "Mommy, mommy, what's that?" And then the mom will say, like, "Shush," right?
Mhm.
And it's like, why are
Mhm.
we shushing the kid? Now we're teaching them already that it is taboo to talk about, curious about disability. Exactly. And so my whole thing, what I do for a living is I entertain people into giving a shit about disability, about neurodivergence, because so often when we talk about it, it is, wrapped in, um, wrapped in grievance or wrapped in pathology, right? Or wrapped in, we have this big fear of being pathologized, or it's wrapped in charity, or it's wrapped in
Mhm.
pity, or it's wrapped in compliance, right? It's like wrist slappy. And
Mm.
so for me, I like to wrap it in jokes. I like to wrap it in rap bars. I like to wrap it in sexy little outfits or like my glam canes, which boom, what yes, I like to wrap it in
So glam.
rhinestones. Okay. I like to wrap it in the TV series that we do, like we did the PBS
Yes.
series. A lot of fun and just positively talking about it because at the end of the day, my ADHD, powers my 1 million ideas, right?
Yes.
My OCD encourages me to carry out those 1 million ideas. My general anxiety gives me my excitement and my empathy. My blindness gives me my focus and my drive. And girl, listen, these dope ass glam canes, right? So
Mhm.
those aren't just silver linings, those are facts. When I'm accommodated, all of these things are now benefits and boons, and they're no longer disabling.
Mm.
And so if I am confident enough to be able to talk about these things in a way where I can accommodate myself, and that who the person I'm speaking to feels accommodated, we both feel welcome, we both feel like we belong, then we are both closer to liberation. And so my whole goal, and honestly with this book, my whole goal, hey, there you go. I usually
Mhm.
try to hold it upside down to make people feel awkward, and they go like, she's blind, what do we do? Um
It's
is
right
to
side up.
have, yeah, is it right? Okay.
It is. It is.
Is to say, hey, look, let's have a good time talking about the deepest identities that we fear or that people tell us not to talk about. And
Hmm.
let's fucking have fun with it, because fuck that.
I agree, like 100%. My grandfather was deaf,
Hmm.
and so I grew up with a deaf grandpa. He wait, I language is important.
Yes.
So he didn't lose hearing; he gained deafness.
Right.
Like when he was, I don't know. That's the thing that we don't talk about actually.
Okay.
But he eventually, like my family doesn't. So I don't know. I've asked questions and they're like, I don't know. He was always deaf,
Sure. Sure.
But so I grew up with a grandfather who couldn't hear. He could hear a little bit,
Hmm.
but it was just you had to scream all the time.
Sure.
And it was maybe thinking about it, hearing you talk, maybe that's where I became so like, you talk about the shit you have because that's who you are. Because
Hmm.
we would go places and people would talk to him and he would just ignore them and would be like, "Oh, he's deaf, you have to scream."
Hmm.
And then people would be like, "Oh, okay, sir, blah, blah, blah." And that was so normal for me to be like, "He can't hear you, you just have to speak louder."
Right.
So when
Right.
it came to me talking about my ADHD and my depression, my anxiety, it was just like, that's just part of who I am. But the responses
Hmm.
were what I was like, "Oh, this is fascinating how people
Yeah.
just responding like, oh, poor thing. I'm so sorry you have
Right.
to deal with it.'" And I'm like, "Well, I'm sure you have to deal with some stuff too, but you just don't
It's
say it."
also like, when I hear people say sorry or you poor thing, like, first of all, I remember I went to a doctor's office and I was blinged out because I was about to go to a big show. And so I have on this like big golden, like rhinestone dress. I have my rhinestone cane. I have these heels on. I'm out here looking like fucking if Kim Kardashian and, Beyonce had a baby, right?
Yes.
And I go to the doctor's office on the way to the show to do an eye exam. I sit in the chair, nails did, makeup did, boom, 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 beat.
Yeah.
This lady walks in, and I'm like, "Okay, woman doctor, let's go." But she walks in, she looks at the chart, and she looks at me and she goes, "You poor thing."
Wow.
I was like, "Bitch, my nail costs more than your salary. So let's start over." Like, don't you
Yeah.
poor thing me. And I'm just like, "Really? All of this getup and then my chart is gonna override, like, me as a
Mm.
person?" You get what I'm saying? And so
Mhm.
my whole thing with this, I'm so sorry. I think what people are saying, and they don't realize that they're saying it, is this. I'm so sorry that society is systemically inaccessible and uninclusive for people with disabilities and neurodivergences. And I am sorry that I am doing nothing to help change that.
Yeah.
They don't realize that that's what they're saying. But because just saying sorry makes them feel like that's enough, then they feel like they don't have to do anything.
Mm.
So instead of marveling, like, I remember we went to a show and we get there and the stage is not accessible for the wheelchair user that wants to perform on it, right? And so
Wow.
they have to carry the wheelchair user on stage. And everybody's going like, "Oh wow, they got her up there," or like, "She made it onto the stage." And I'm like, "No, you should be going to the venue and saying, 'Why wasn't there a ramp?'" Like,
Right.
you can get one of those ramps for $200 on Amazon. Like, it's not that serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so instead of us marveling like, "Oh, wow, what a feat." Like, this is not inspiration for your like, "Oh my god, I had a hard Monday, so yay, looking at a disabled person get on a stage is gonna make my Monday better.
Mm.
Ha, if she can do it, I can do." Like, no, we don't live for you to feel better about yourself. We are not inspirational tools. We're not inspiration porn. That's the word I was looking for.
Yes.
What we are human beings really just want dignity and autonomy. So if you see someone
Mhm.
struggling, instead of clapping for them, say, "Well, now what's wrong with this picture, this larger picture that this person is struggling?" and doesn't have the same
Mhm.
access that I
100%. And it's on my notes to talk about inspiration porn because it's something that
have.
you push back a lot on. It's precisely that, using
Shout out to Stella Young.
yeah. So, precisely using disabled people as inspiration for the body abled or whatever other people that don't have that disability, like, "Oh, if they can do it, I can do it." Which is not like it removes people from their humanity,
Yes. Yeah.
like that inspiration porn,
Mhm.
it's almost like materializing people in just their current capabilities based on what they can do because of the disability they have, and it's not okay to do that.
Right. I call it objects of pity, or,
Mm,
I've called them trauma trophies.
yes.
That's a fun one because of the alliteration. Um, and I feel like, you hit the nail on the head, it's dehumanizing. Um, you wouldn't want someone to use, something that you're going through as an example, right? What you want is, this is not just an example. I'm a life. I'm not just an example.
Correct.
So let's focus on me as the person. The other thing I was going to say is, I like to use the term, well, I tend to use the term non disabled when
Mm,
talking about folks that don't have a disability. I'll say either non disabled,
yes.
just because to center the word disability. Um, but also, I also don't think I think everyone has disability. I think everybody has neurodivergence. I think everybody has
I
something, and we
agree.
just kind of waft in and out, right, of different aspects of it as our bodies change, as we grow, because people don't recognize that the disability umbrella is so large, right? It can include
Mhm.
everything from diabetes to asthma to tinnitus to like anxiety to depression to temporarily breaking your elbow or breaking your ankle to light sensitivity, right? It's so large. And even in that little bit that I said, I'm pretty sure everybody listening to that was like, wait, I'm one of those. And that was just the tip of the iceberg.
Mhm.
So everybody has disability identity, whether you identify yourself as disabled or chronically ill or neurodivergent, you have something that makes it so that the world wasn't exactly built for you, that you have to overcompensate for, that if that thing were accommodated, it would all of a sudden make you super duper powerful, right?
Mhm.
We all have that. And so for people to sit there and act like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." Like, you have something where I would say, "I'm so sorry to you." And then, once I find out what that is, you're gonna be like, "Well, now hold on." Right?
Yeah.
So we all have that. We need to recognize that in each other, and then that is how we actually become real allies.
Absolutely, and I think also, like, as I was reading a ton and, like, researching all of the things Lachi, it made me reflect a lot on and how I personally show up because even how the expectations of society because I had a deadline to, like, send something to a client, and I was depressed. But I can't tell my client, "Sorry, I was depressed for 2 days, so I couldn't get myself out of bed and, like, get some work done, so I couldn't send this to you until my life got together, and I'm fine now,
Mhm,
thanks. Here's the thing." And so,
mhm.
it's tricky,
Right. Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
It's tricky that navigation of expectations and capitalism and
Yeah. Well, part of it is because we don't live in a world where we are all open and accepting of each other's needs. So,
yeah.
we say things like, oh, special needs. And, I love to tell people that I have special needs, but they're in the bedroom, DM's open. Um, the truth of the matter is that there aren't any special needs. We just all have individual needs.
Yeah.
And that is true of you. That is true of me. That is true of that person that you needed to send your shit to in time. And the
Mhm.
thing about it is if we lived in a world of interdependence, where everyone was accepting and understanding of everyone's needs, and also recognized the strength in being open about their own needs, we would have a completely different system in the first place.
Yeah.
Because part of the procrastination and depression is the pressure. Like,
Totally.
it's not even, I mean, a lot of it is like societally, like, society disables us in that way mentally, right? It's not even, you can have clinical depression for sure, but it can be exacerbated by these systemic expectations, right? If we lived
Mhm.
in a more interdependent system, whether you had clinical depression or not, at least that societal depression would be lifted.
Yeah. And there would be grace and compassion.
And there would be grace. But that's a systemic change that you want the whole system to change? Is that what you're saying? Good luck with that.
Right. Yeah. We're still gonna be here talking about it.
Oh, no. Oh, girl, no, we gonna knock them down one at a time. I'm going door to door. You coming with me. We going door to door, and we're gonna do it one human being at a time.
One human being at a time. Indeed, indeed. And so there's so much. Oh my god, we're at the coffee break time. What's happening?
Ooh.
Sabrosura pa' ti que que.
Lachi, do you drink coffee?
I do. I used to actually drink, and can I actually see which coffee this was? My partner gave me this. Um,
If you show me, I can
Graham,
tell you.
enjoy your coffee. Okay, that's what right? Is that what that says?
It just says enjoy
Boom.
your coffee, yeah.
So this
Yeah. It looks like
okay.
it's from a bodega.
Um, yeah, it's from a bodega up the street. So I used to like have a problem, like have a coffee addiction problem. Um, I would drink like God, 5, 6 cups of coffee in the morning.
What?
Well, in college, I worked as I worked as a barista. So usually when you work as a barista, you gain like a coffee addiction.
At arm's length.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, boop, boop, boop. I'd be like, here's your coffee, ma'am. In fact, here, let me take a sip and make sure it's okay. Okay, here it is. Um, but now I'm a little bad. You know what helped with my coffee addiction? Tea.
Oh.
So I started drinking tea and it actually cut down my coffee and then it didn't turn into a tea addiction. So there you have it.
Yeah. It's different.
It is different. It hits different.
Yeah. It hits different. How do you drink your coffee? How do you like it?
Um, I have a dot of milk and that's it. So black with a dot of
A
milk.
dot.
Yeah. I like my coffee like I like my men.
With a little tiny dot.
With a little bit of milk, you know? A little
Love
bit of
that,
milk.
love that. So, the one that you're drinking from your local bodega, like, it comes, like, perfect and done?
No, it's black and then, you put the dot of milk in yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then you go over to them and then they say, "What's in the cup?" And you say, "Coffee." And I'm like, "It's been coffee in this cup for 7 years." And you're still asking. I feel like that's really, really adorable. Like that guy
Still wanna
definitely
know.
has yeah, I'm like, "You are definitely joining me on the spectrum. You've been asking me for 7 years what's in this cup to follow the rules."
So funny. Do you drink it any other way? Like, you mentioned you were a barista, so do you have another, like, brewing method you enjoy?
So when I'm doing like I'm just waking up and having coffee, yeah, I'll have black with a dot of milk. But if I'm going to like, you know, go a little in, I will have a dry soy cap.
Mm.
And I love like she loves her half shot of like a fall, like something aromatic that's fall. So if they have, generally they'll have like a fall blend, or maybe they'll have pumpkin spice, or I can do a peppermint. She can do a peppermint. Um, but
Ooh.
but if that soy cap, if it's not soy, then it's not happening.
You can
Um,
tell?
and if and if they don't have soy milk at all, so I'm like, okay, what milks do you have? And they're like, "Oh, we have half and half and nothing." So I'm like, "Okay, well, we're not doing a cappuccino then." And then it's
Yes.
gotta be dry, and if it's not dry, I have I have been that girl that'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, this isn't dry, and I have nothing to do all day, so I'm willing to wait in line for you to
Mm.
redo it." Because I didn't come here for milk.
Right. Totally. No, it
So
makes a
so that was
difference.
listen, I if do you have any other barista friends?
I used to be a barista.
So then you get it. You get why I'm being a super
Yeah.
snob.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
yeah, I
good.
get it.
Mhm.
That's why I asked for brewing methods, 'cause, there's no I'm a pour over girl, I'm
Sure,
not a French
sure,
press,
sure.
but I
Boom.
know
There you
French
go.
press, and I'm like, "How could you?"
How could you, blaspheme?
But there's some people that love French fries, and I remember, like, people would come and order, like, a full French press, and they would
Right.
down it, like, studying, and I'm like, I mean,
Well, that's how
listen,
you know
no judgment.
they're not like they just need coffee. They're
Correct.
not like a coffee they don't appreciate coffee, they just need it,
Yeah.
right?
You just need the
So
caffeine to get through the night. For
exactly.
sure, for
Exactly,
sure.
which I'm not gonna knock it. I was definitely a binger
Yeah.
in college. Like, I would just, like, coast, and then it's like, "Uh-oh, exam time. Time to actually open the textbook."
Cram. 100%, same. I don't know
Hell
if
yeah.
that's an ADHD thing.
I think I know it is. I kn if I because the thing is, part of it is, like, if I don't care about something, you can put a gun to my head. It will just not I will not
Yep.
be able to imbibe it. But I like passing tests and graduating from college, so then that will
Yeah.
make me study,
I
like,
think that's
at that time.
Nigerian in you.
Yeah, that might yeah, exactly. But it's like, I don't care about, like, amino acids or whatever the fuck we're you know what I mean? Like, I don't
Yes.
like, whatever we're trying to study. What I care about is passing this exam, and so that is why I'm a crammer. So, I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah. I used to be a crammer, like, all-nighters all day in college. It was I almost didn't pass college because I didn't know I had ADHD, and then I found out, and I was like, "Oh, my brain's not
Oh,
broken like I thought."
right,
Mhm.
right. There is no such thing as a broken brain, just a different one.
Just a different one, 100%, 100%.
Mhm.
On my end, I'm actually drinking my concoction of tea, so I make, like, this elaborate tea every morning because
'Kay.
I've been healing fibroids in my body with tea,
Okay.
and it's
Ooh,
working.
really?
It's yeah.
Okay.
I
Tell me the
drank
concoction.
tea for a year. So it's a huge, like, combination. So basically, like, the most important ones, raspberry black leaf yeah, black raspberry leaf tea,
Okay.
fenugreek,
Hmm,
um, there's, like I'm happy to send you the tea. It's, like, a lot of herbs, and,
okay.
so I've been drinking it for a year and went to the doctor, and my fibroids have shrunken. So
Really?
mhm,
Interesting. Yeah, because I got the roids. I call them the roids. I've got the roids, and, I
mhm.
was like I was like, "What can I do to, like, deal with this without having to do all of the doctory things?" Because and then I just kind of was like, "Whatever, I'll just have fibroids. Fuck you." But it would be nice it would be nice to, do like, a natural, holistic way to figure that out,
Yeah.
especially if you've done it and it's actually worked.
It's worked for me. I My cousin was also dealing with, like, a lot of stuff, and I sent her the tea, and she's funny. She's like, "Cousin, I drank the tea for 2 days, and it's still not," and I'm like, "Yeah, no. I've drank it for, like, I've been drinking this for a
Right,
year. Like, this is not a
right.
2-day, like,
You drink it
remedy."
every day?
Every day.
Every
Like, it's
day?
religious.
Boom,
Uh-huh.
boom, boom. Go ahead. You better be, like,
Yeah.
diligent, okay?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's like that yeah, focus on it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because I didn't like, it was really painful, like,
Yeah.
the whole, like, going back to, like, invisible disability, like,
Mhm,
period pain is also something that
mhm.
we have to mask all the time, and,
Right.
like, I
Yeah,
almost closed down my business because I was like, I'm dying. Like,
sure.
I almost became anemic because I was, like, it was just so bad.
It was over the top.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do what I need to do."
Mhm.
Western medicine didn't help, it made it worse, actually, and so I
Ugh.
went to the earth.
Doesn't the West do that?
I know, I know. So,
I'll stop.
acupuncture, tea, exercise, calming down,
Sure,
like, a lot of,
sure.
like, mindfulness, internal work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's funny how those types of things like mindfulness, internal work, teas, herbs, those will like fix or fix isn't the right word, but help you adjust on so many other things that you may not even realize, right?
Yeah.
Exercise, they're so beneficial to so many things, but meanwhile we're like running top speed into a wall trying to find all sorts of cures when it's like okay, just sit down, chill out
Yeah.
and like be able to access yourself first. Let's start there.
Yes. Yes, precisely. Like, listen to your body.
Mhm.
because what I realized is that for a long time, I was just go, 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 not
Yeah.
listening, and when I was able to, like, sit back and be like, "Okay, let's figure this out," then
Mhm.
my body's responding, so I'm happy to I can email you the tea if you want.
Yeah, send it over. Let's see what's up. Let's see if the roid's
Yeah,
gonna like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and, faith, I think also faith works. So just, like, the belief that it will
Oh, the
work.
power of positive thinking? Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, because part of it is I think, like, the power of positive thinking is very powerful, but I also think the power of negative thinking is really powerful, like, it's like, let's stop the negative think. Like, let's at least get ourselves out of all of this negative talk in our head, right? All of these
Mhm, mhm.
internalized isms, the internalized ableism, the internalized shame, the internalized, "It's not gonna happen," because you are just giving the universe permission to, like, say, "I guess you're right."
Right.
Um, and so
Yes.
we need to recognize how powerful negative thinking is so that we can stop giving
Mhm.
it that power.
Totally. I mean, I'm a big fan of like, I name my anxiety. I have anxious
Mm.
Angie, and
Anxious
so
Angie! Okay. I love that. I immediately, like, picture, like I have Angie pictured in my
you
head.
have the Angie in your head. She is annoying.
She's nagging, right? She's like, "Girl! Girl!
Yes.
Girl," and she doesn't even say anything more than girl. She's like, "Girl!"
Yes, and she just, like, talks a lot, like, very loudly, and so to your point of the negative thinking, I look at anxious Angie, and I literally talk to anxious Angie when she shows up, and I'm like, "What's up? What do you want?"
"What you want, girl? What?"
And then
Okay.
many times she's just like, "I'm trying to keep you safe." And so I'm like, "I got this.
Yeah.
You're not welcome today. I need
Mhm.
you to go back to where you hang out all the time
Mhm.
and stay there." And so but we're still in the coffee break, so let's get back to the interview.
Well, I was gonna say too, really quickly too, one of the things, you know how, like, you have a devil on your shoulder and an angel on your shoulder
Mhm.
type trope?
Yep.
I love this idea of, like, anytime my anxiety, because general anxiety, like, it'll just come up for no reason.
Yeah.
It'll just be like, "We're just gonna be anxious. Yay, let's have fun."
Mhm.
Um, that there are 2 points, right? There's anxious I don't have a name for her, I should totally give her a name now. I love Angie, but I think I'll do a different A, Anxious Ann. Um, and but then there's also, like, I don't know, Excited Eddie, who
Yes.
is, like, the angel version of my anxiety, who is, like, recognizes that it's like, this is excitement, or this is actually you, like, analyzing this is you growing. Like, let's say, for instance, I send, like, an email or I write an email and I hit send a little too fast, right? And
Yeah.
and then, like, at night, I'm like, "Oh my god, I shouldn't have said that. What did I do? What did I oh my god, they're not gonna oh, they haven't responded yet. It's been 45 whole seconds." And, you know, Anxious Ann is like, "I can't believe you wrote that, girl, girl, girl,"
Yes.
right? And then Excited Eddie is like, "You know what? You stood up for yourself, and you're in a learning moment right now of, like, you know what? You let them know who you are. So, like, you were a little bit vulnerable.
Mhm.
Maybe they'll be vulnerable, maybe not, that's not in your control, but guess what? Whatever they give you back, or even if they give you nothing back, you just learned something. You are smarter now, girl. You took action, and the biggest sin is, like, not taking action.
Yes.
And then Angie's, like, getting or Ann or whatever is getting quieter, like, "Girl," and Eddie's like, "So let's you and me get ice cream." And then Ann is like, "Wait, what about my ice cream?"
Right. You were like, "Not today, you don't get any."
Today, no, I'm sorry.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think it's super fun to play with, like, inner parts of ourselves because it also builds, like, our inner separation of the very because many times, like, I also have perfectionist Patty, right, who, like, she is just, like,
Perfectionist Patty.
based on somebody else's expectations,
Mhm.
giving, like, "You're not doing enough, you're not"
Right,
like,
right.
whatever, and I'm like, "Bro, why?" Like,
Right,
"Who
right.
told you this? Where did you come from?" And I think my excited one would be, like, excited, I don't know,
Eh
Esmeralda.
eh woo! Oh, she's ethnic. Ooh, I like it. She's very
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so
Yo, but you know what?
she
You got this perfectionist Patty, which I love. That is,
Mhm.
and I feel like there could be like a good enough Godfrey.
Right.
And he talks like Gilbert Godfrey. He's like, "No, it's good enough." You know?
Right. And that alone gives like, calms you down, like, "You know what? You're right.
You know what?
Totally."
I Gilbert Godfrey's voice is so soothing. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah,
For
no, love
sure.
it.
Okay, let's get back to the co to
Okay, okay.
to the
Yeah.
interview.
Two ADHD people trying to have a conversation.
You know what's frustrating? Losing your wallet. And you know sometimes what's even more painful? Realizing your almost full punch card from your favorite cafecito spot is now gone. But at least, even when your cafecito points have vanished, at BMO, if you lose your debit card, they'll print you a new one instantly at a local branch. Plus, you can use your phone to freeze your debit card to prevent any unauthorized transactions. Learn more at bmo.com. Conditions apply. Accounts provided in the United States by BMO Bank and a member FDIC. Let's talk about something we all deserve: financial empowerment. Whether you're tackling debt, planning for retirement, or starting that dream business, navigating your finances can feel overwhelming. But it doesn't have to be, thanks to Savvy Ladies. Savvy Ladies is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping women like you take control of your financial future. They offer free resources, webinars, and my favorite, a free financial helpline where you can connect one on one with trusted financial experts. And yes, it's completely free. Whether you're just starting your financial journey or need guidance on a specific challenge, Savvy Ladies is here to provide quality and trusted advice you can count on. So why wait? Visit savvyladies.org today and connect with the financial helpline to get the personalized support you deserve. Your journey to financial independence starts here. That is savvyladies.org. Your path to financial freedom can start today. Going back to your story,
Yes.
to kind of like give a little quick, because we're running out of time, sadly. It's 8:51, so we have like 9
Wow. Yikes.
minutes to talk about everything else. So, you hid your disability for a long time, and then you're like, "You know what? I'm going to own it. It's my power, it's my truth, it's a reality. Let's go."
Mhm.
Then people start asking like, "Okay, Lachi, so what's next?" And you're like, "Ramped." And you
Yes.
launch this.
Yes.
And then comes the book. But let's start
Yes.
with Ramped and then we'll move into the book.
Well, RAMPed stands for Recording Artists and Music Professionals with Disabilities. And one of the coolest things we've done is that acronym, Booyah, so good. And
Mhm.
RAMPed works with the music industry to make it more inclusive and accessible to the working music creators and professionals who identify as, neurodivergent, having a disability,
Mhm.
chronically ill, etc. And everything from trainings to consultations to really cultivating our global network of music professionals with disabilities. We've worked with the Grammys. We're the ones that bring that ASL to the red carpet of the Grammys. That's us.
Yes.
But we've worked with like Live Nation, Tidal, Spotify, you name it, just to work with more inclusive programming to make sure folks are trained up, not just on accessibility and compliance, but on culture and inclusion and integration and recognize the disability identity within themselves, like we've been talking about here.
Mhm.
When I was young, like I told you, I was masking and getting into better rooms. And I had realized I had this epiphany of like, wow, if I'm masking, other people are too.
Yes.
And so that's really how Ramped came about. I remember Googling disability in music and nothing came up. And now when I Google it, Ramped comes up. And so, check, we did that.
Check,
And
check.
because of that, I've been able to build this amazing community. I myself have been able to, I've made the industry more accessible for myself.
Yeah.
And so I've been able to put out viral situations, have really amazing collaborations, get a lot of visibility to this conversation. And now we're Grammy nominated for one of our projects.
Yeah.
And I like to think that a lot of it is because of the work we're doing. But still, in this line of using entertainment to get people to care about disability, that is where this book comes from. I identify as blind. which comes out January 27, 2026 through Penguin Random House. Shout out to Phoebe Robinson, who owns the imprint Tiny Reparations Books, which will be putting it out. And this book is really an entertaining, funny collection of essays that really talk about these taboo topics in a way that is accessible and approachable for anyone, whether you identify as blind, whether you identify as neurodivergent, whether you have a different identity that you're hiding, your inner transness, your inner gayness, your inner whatever closet you're in, because something is difficult to talk about. Well, this book breaks that down with fun, with dad jokes, with rap bars, with great interviews from celebrities and pop culture folks. So I encourage folks to go grab it. I identify as blind. I talk a lot about my own story, the day I woke up blind and how ridiculous that was, as well as a bunch of other really amazing stories, past and present. So check that book out, and check out my music as well, because we talk about it in the music and a lot of the viral songs that we have out as well. So just so many things going
Yeah.
on.
So many awesome things going on. That's a lot of projects, a lot of
Yeah.
things happening. You wrote a
Yeah.
whole ass book.
I wrote a whole ass book. Well, honestly, like I said, I feel like even though I'm doing several different things, from the music to the writing to the hosting to the fashion to the running of an organization to the this to the that,
Yeah.
I'm actually only doing one thing. I am using entertainment and pop culture to amplify, and honestly, to really combat the stigma and erasure of the disability identity, the neurodivergent identity. So it's really just one thing. All of the things I do fit into that category. As long as we're talking about disability and neurodivergence and we're laughing and we're having a good time, I'm doing my job. And so that's how I'm able to juggle it.
Mm. What do you wish people understood
Mhm.
about disability awareness?
That they exist on this spectrum of disability as well. That there is no such thing. You are not a disabled ally until you recognize your own disability identity. That
Ooh.
when you apologize, when you see someone with a disability and you say sorry, that you're actually apologizing to yourself for not doing anything to make the world more accessible and inclusive for you.
Mhm.
And so, really, what I want people to know and understand is that you exist on the disability identity spectrum. So, find where you exist on that spectrum, and then let's talk.
Mhm. Mhm. I have so many more questions. I didn't even let's see. There's 9 pages of my notes. I like
Okay, you get one. How about one last mic drop question?
okay, so let's do this one. Which ooh. Did you finish your recording the audiobook?
We finished recording the audiobook. Now we're adding music to it. But yeah, it's going to come out the same
Ooh,
day as the book.
what?
So the audiobook's going to come out the same time as the book. We're also going to have a large print. And then a little bit later, we will have a Braille edition. And then the book
Wow.
is actually, the font is dyslexic friendly font.
No way, I love that. It's so easy to read. I love it.
Yes.
I love dyslexic font.
Yes.
My
And
my mom has not dyslexia, sorry, but it's the one with numbers.
dyscalculia, something like that.
Dyscalculia, yes.
Yeah.
Dyscalculia.
Which I always thought sounded cool because it sounds like Dracula. So I always wanted that one.
Yeah.
But the
It's a
last thing
struggle.
is it
Tell me.
really, because of the last thing I was
Yeah.
gonna say about the book too is, this is a pre-version, but when you pre-order yours and it comes out, it will have braille dots of "I identify as blind" on the cover, just to kinda
Oh,
give
I
a
love
nod
that.
to the culture. But yeah, so sorry, I wanted to just throw that in really quickly.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, last
It'll be
3
fun.
questions. Before I ask you those, now tell us all the places and spaces where we can find you, where can we order the book? We'll have everything on the show notes.
Yeah, lachimusic.com, lachimusic.com, girl. Plus, we are on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all the whatever. Not maybe not Twitter.
Everything.
Um, but
Yes,
yes, go to our website. That's where you can find how to pre-order the book. That's where you can find our music. That's where you can find our upcoming dates. We're going to be doing a whole book tour in February. So we'll hopefully be coming to your city. If you check back and we're not in your city, bring us to your city. We're here.
Request.
We're really prostituting ourselves out here. So come bring us to your city. We're here for it. Bring us to your book club. Bring us to your
Yes,
library. So yeah.
totally. Request a book in the library. It's super important. Keep libraries alive and bring authors, diverse authors, authors of color to all the
Mhm.
places and spaces. Super important. Okay, last few questions. Um, do you have a remedy you want to share with us?
Ooh, uh, I think one of my biggest things that I say, especially when I am in a big rut, is one of my mantras that I say is stand up for yourself to yourself.
Mm,
Um, because oftentimes a lot of the negative feelings I have are me telling myself. And so I have to get that like spider off my own face before I can like do anything further. So I tell myself to stand up for myself to myself first so I can get rid of some of those negative thoughts.
love that. What gets you into your main character?
Ooh, what gets me into my main character? One of the big things that I do, this is kind of corny, but one of the big things I do in the morning is I make my bed. Um, and
Mm.
it's just like it's such having a made bed is just so like so, I don't know, girl Friday, right? But it's like it's very like my bed is made. Julie Andrews is playing in the background. There's like a pie on the window and a bird flying around. And it just gives me this like, I can tackle anything.
Completion.
Right, exactly. But if I'm halfway through the day and I go into my room and my bed is a mess, I'm like, oh, look, I'm depressed. Thanks for letting me know, bed.
Mm. The bad thing is a big yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a big indicator.
Hmm.
My mom used to tell us to make our bed, like, all the time, and she like, to this day, because she's like, "It's the first thing you get to check off your list."
Yes, right. And also it's very like then you go back into your room, like especially after I tour. One of the big things I do before I go on tour is make my bed. Cause then when I get back home, especially at night, there's a nice fresh bed. And I can
Yes.
just jump into it and roll around with my little teddy bear.
Yes. Yes. And it's, like, waiting for you. I love that. Well, Lachi, thank you so much for coming to Café con Pam. This
Yes.
was awesome. I feel like we could have talked for 3 hours and still have
Yes.
things to talk about.
Period.
Definitely, listeners, check out Lachi. We have all the links in the show notes and everything there. Buy the book, pre order the book is super important. So, we always talk about when authors are in the pre sale process, pre selling lets the publishers know that we want the books. We want more stories like this to be told. So, super important to do the pre sale because, you vote with your dollars. Capitalism.
That's why my mom came here, guys. Thank you so much for having me,
Thank
Pam. This has
you.
been such a really fun opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. That was my conversation with Lachi, and I'm still processing because this conversation did something I didn't expect. It made me examine every part of myself that I've been told to hide, to minimize, and even to keep small. You know, when Lachi talks about disability identity being a spectrum we all exist on, she's not being metaphorical. She's actually telling the truth. And it hit me really hard because I've spent so much of my life managing my ADHD, my anxiety, my depression, treating them like problems to solve instead of parts of my identity that shape how I move through the world. And when she said, "You're not a disabled ally until you recognize your own disability identity," oof, I felt that in my body. Because how many of us are performing allyship for others while still apologizing for our own needs? What really got me was the parallel between her journey and the work I do with Cadita culture. Lachi went from hiding her white cane to walking red carpets with luxury glam canes. And this goes beyond fashion. It's all about reclaiming what society told you to be ashamed of and turning it into art, into activism, into power. And that's the same journey from silence to voice, from seeking external validation to standing in sovereign confidence. When she said she had to, quote, stand up for myself, to myself first, quote, that's the work. That's always the work. And here's what I invite you to sit with. Lachi built Ramped, not because she wanted to be an inspiration, because when people asked what's next, she couldn't hide under her bed. She had to create the infrastructure the music industry was missing, and that's what liberation looks like. Not just healing yourself, but building the systems that allow others to be free too. And that is the collective healing that we are all here to doing. That's our legacy. So, if this episode resonated with you, I invite you to first pre-order the book, I Identify as Blind. Pre-orders, you know this, they matter a lot for authors, especially authors going through the traditional book writing process, meaning when you go through a traditional publisher, and especially authors from underrepresented backgrounds. So important. Then, once you do that, please do share this episode with someone who's been hiding something society told them was, quote, too much. Tag us both on all the socials. Let us know what landed for you. Y bueno, third question, third task for you that I invite you to do. Ask yourself, what part of me have I been masking? What would it feel like to stop apologizing for it? Because what Lachi taught us today is that your truth is never too much. Parts of you that you've been told to hide, those are exactly the parts that make you powerful. That's your medicine and your gift. Y bueno, como siempre, thank you so much for being here. I don't take your ears for granted. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for listening and for choosing to grow with me, for letting this conversation challenge the many ways we've been told to stay small. I appreciate you so much, sending you so much love. Nos vemos la próxima semana. Y bueno, como siempre, stay shining. Café con Pam is created con mucho amor by our small but mighty team. Content production by Nancy Jaimes. Podcast management by Maru Linardi. Social media and marketing by Brenda Figueroa. And me, your host, Pam Covarrubias. To keep the cafecito brewing and the healing flowing, join the Supporters Club for only $5 a month and access early episodes, behind-the-scenes vibes, and exclusive minisodes you won't hear anywhere else. Screenshot this episode and tag me and share what resonated. I love seeing your takeaways. Follow on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's keep the conversation going with us on social media at Café con Pan Podcast, because your voice always matters there. We love being on Instagram and Facebook. Gracias for listening to Café con Pan, a Spread Ideas Move People production. For more episodes, guest info, or resources, visit cafeconpam.com. And if you're healing from calladita culture and don't know where to start, you can take the quiz. cafeconpam.com/quiz for tia wisdom and cariño just for you.
Sabrosura pa' ti que